So we're back to finish welding up our 2018 Sierra Denali. So we're going to put the uni-side back on. First thing we gotta do is take this body line out of it. Not supposed to be there. When the bed hit the cab, it made a little dent. So now we're going to use our extra pieces that we cut off as a template so we can mark our new piece to trim it out. So we'll have an exact fit. So you just clamp it up, use the holes that are in it to line it up, and scribe a line. Pop that piece off. And we'll just cut on a line. And we'll cut our front. Same way. Clamp it up. Scribe our line. And take it off. New pile. We're going to need those pieces. So now we're going to do the top. There's the hole we cut out of the old one. So now we're going to trim where we scribed. It's getting a little awkward up on the stands, so I put it on the floor. Finish trimming our last piece. I'll put it back on the stands. It's easier to work on standing up. So now, like before, we're going to clean all our welds, both sides. Anywhere we need to weld, any spot welds, any seams. And we'll put our weld through primer on it. Get it ready to go on the truck. Now I said we were going to need those other pieces that went in the new pile, and this is what they're for. They're to make a backing, so we have something to weld to when we put our piece up there. We can't overlap this because the depth makes a difference, so we need it to be the same thickness. This one I didn't have to make a backing all the way around because that hinge pillar underneath provides a backing. So I just had to make a backing here where the two open spaces were. That's why I chose to cut it where I did. Now we're up on the front and the rocker. We use some of the excess to make our backing, so now we're just going to slide it in there and weld it up. Provides a little more support and makes welding much easier. Now we're going to do this a little different. We're going to weld our backing to the piece instead of to the truck. So we'll just slide this in up on the top. Now everything's all ready. We got all our weld through primer on there. Slide our piece in at the top. If we did it right, should just fit right in on the two front pieces. We're going to put our door on again because it wasn't enough fun the first 6 times. Close the door and check our gaps. And they suck. So we're gonna have to move the door a little bit. Rarely do you get them right on the first try. Sometimes you have to do it again. And sometimes make it worse. We'll try it again. We'll pretend I did this in 3 tries. That looks good. So, now let's take the door off. Again. Measure everything with the measurements we took. Could have done this before we put the door on. I was just doing it as a check. If the door fits, our measurements should be right. Clamp up our welding blanket. We don't burn our interior. Not that there's much of it left in there. And we'll start welding. The seams you do a little spot at a time, maybe half an inch or so, and then go back to the spot welds. Do a couple spot welds, go back to the seam. Just keep going back and forth. You don't want to get it too hot, it'll warp the metal. Alright, put the door on again. Got that one on the first try. So now we gotta pull the rear cab panel back a little bit and weld, because some of those welds don't go through the back cab panel. So I save all the die grinding discs when they wear out, and that's why. So I don't have to try and fit that 3-inch disc in there. I can fit the little 1-inch one. Now we got everything ground down. Put our weld through primer on. While we're waiting for that to dry, we'll grind some of our other welds down. You grind them down with the die grinder, not totally flat, and then you go over with them an angle grinder, flatten them out. Now to put our rear cab panel on, we gotta put our structural bonding adhesive in here. Now we got that in there, we'll clamp it up. Now we can weld up our rear cab panel. I'm going to leave those clamps in there overnight, let that adhesive completely cure. So we got it all welded up. I gave it to the body men. They did their body work. So now we're going to pull the doors off so that the painter can paint the inside of it. And because I seem to like taking doors off. So we're going to strip down this back door so we can paint it the right color. Pull all the covers out. Pull all the 7mm out of there. Cover in the grab handle. There's 2 screws in there. Take the bolts out for the door check. Pull the door panel off. Disconnect the wires and the handle. And take the top trim piece off. Kind of pull it towards the inside of the window. Well, I guess we're going to take the door sweep off first. Now we can take that top trim piece off. The back clips in. You don't want to be too rough with it because it will crack. So just kind of get a screwdriver in there and then snap the clips off. Take out the little foam filler piece. Take out the speaker. Get the wiring out of it. Push the wires through. Get them out of our way. Get the handle off so we can pull the water barrier out. I'll take our door check out. There's a gasket in there. Likes to stick to the door, so you got to be very careful when you take it off so you don't tear it. Just take your time peeling it off of there and then put it back on the door check. It'll be ready to go back on when you're putting it back together. I'll take some of the screws out. Those are for the rear window track. Window was down a little bit so I couldn't get the impact in there. So rather than putting it up, I just used a wrench to loosen up the window from the regulator. So now we'll disconnect the regulator from the door. Just push it down. And then because we unbolted it from the window, we can just pull it off and take it out. I'll take the window track out. On the other side, that's the front. Take the door latch out. We're going to try. Then we're going to figure out we can't get it out. Pull the door handle on the outside out. So we'll put the window down. Get that rear window channel out of the way. Pull the weather stripping out. Give us some room to work with for the glass. This one, the glass comes out the inside. First we'll take our window track out. Now we can take the handle out. Now we're going to take the weather stripping off. For the bottom piece, they have little Christmas trees on the two ends. And the centers have tabs that you squeeze. You can reach in there and get to them real easy. If you try prying them out, they end up breaking. So you just reach in and do as many as you can. On this, you can get to all of them. On the other weather stripping, you can do most of them, but you have to use a pick for the rest. I'll take our wiring harness out. It's different than the original one, so we're gonna have to throw it away. Take all of our clips out. I'm gonna take our belt molding off. Just one screw in the front. And these little tabs, pull up in the center and release them. Usually start at one end or the other. Just be careful you don't break them. Belt moldings are pretty expensive. Now we can pull our weather stripping out. Now this is the door seal. Got those little clips in the back that you just have to squeeze. So we'll do as many as we can that we can reach from inside the door. The other ones you do with a pick. Now everything's all painted. We're going to put it all back together. I'm going to put the door latch back in. Just so we can close the door. I'm not going to put everything together. Just enough to put the door on the truck and close it. My painter was worried about me messing up his paint. So you just latch the back. We left the hinges on the truck when we painted them so that I don't have to worry about touching them up. The part of the hinge that screws into the door is not adjustable, so it self-aligns when you put the bolts in. So as long as the hinges were aligned, if I take them off the door itself, it realigns itself when I put it back on. Now we're going to put the front door on. Tighten it all down. Now we're going to take it apart so that they can paint it. Pull all the screws out. There's one hidden screw back there. Now we can pull the trim panel off. Put our window down. Actually put our window up so that we can unbolt it. No, unbolt it from the regulator. There's a cover than this one. Gotta pop it up. Now we'll put our regulator down. Window's still up, but the regulator's down. Take our door panel out of the way. Then we can take our glass out. Put it down about halfway and then tilt it. You'll see the back of the glass is cut out at an angle, so you can pull it out. This one comes out the outside, whereas the back glass came out of the inside. Don't drop it. Now I'll take the top trim panel off. Just pull it towards the inside of the window. Pull the wiring harness for our mirror out. Unbolt our mirror. It's got one tab on the outside you gotta pull. I'm gonna take our door handle off. I didn't plan on dropping that piece, but it kind of happened. I'll take the belt molding off, pull the rear screw out, release the clips one at a time. Pull our weather stripping out for our window. Now it's all ready for paint. Next time you see it, it should all be one color, I hope. So like this video if you found it interesting. Share it if you think somebody else might. Subscribe if you want to see the rest of this build. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.